Hi, welcome back to the Dylan Rounds case. Welcome if you're currently here in the live premiere. We're continuing on with interesting discussions and arguably news which has never been heard or covered before on this channel and maybe elsewhere. It's about making sense of what's been talked about in recent time with the use of the live chat from my recent live video premieres. If you haven't already checked those videos out, make sure to catch up on them. I will provide a link down below to last night's live premiere, link in the pinned comment section, as well additional links if you wish to view them. Shout out to Jim Coddington, a different Jim, for their super chat last night. Appreciate it. And of course, the people that regularly watch, it's all good of them to do what they do. Okay, so we're going to be referring back to Cori, an individual that just randomly showed up on my channel in most recent of times. Provide another backstory behind them shortly. Some people seem to be already aware of who this individual is, where they originated from on YouTube. Well, we'll kind of add on to that and I'll share with you my thoughts as well as different points of views as to what other people would think and expect, right? Cori recently came out with some interesting supposed information which supposedly happened in the past. We're going to go over it today, text-based. I said I'm going to analyze, give my thoughts, and of course you can share your thoughts, opinions and reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. Could it lead to a stronger understanding of the case, motives, backstories with other people? Maybe. Does it open up new leads? Who knows? But there's only one way to find out, right? And that's why we're doing this video tonight. Continuing on from a portion of what we're looking at last night. So if you want to understand the full story, make sure to check out last night's video as well. As I said, link down below in the pinned comment section. So I think to kick things off, we'll probably look back at the comments from last night, answer any questions, catch up on any comments in general, see if there's any additional information which ties on to today. I'll allow people to join on in and be in sync with one another, and then we can go from there, okay? I'll just adjust it to the newest. We haven't got that many comments to get through. They're a bit longer in length, but not as many people. Start off with Suzanne Hernandez, still sticking around, a viewer, shout out to her. She says, thank you for being persistent and steady with the Dylan Rounds case. I appreciate you. That's good to hear. I'd say maybe within the last week or so, toned it down a little, slowed down the pace in a way, whether it be talking or thinking at the time, but it seemed to have helped. As for the YouTube stuff in the background, it's like really on and off. It's still a bit inconsistent, but we just keep going because not much more one can do, right? So yeah, we got Suzanne, good of her. We got Brad sticking around. Kind of slowed down with the comments, which isn't a problem. It kind of gives me a bit of a break too. Just kidding. But what does Brad say here? This is more in response to Ty Corbin, but we'll read it out anyway because you never know who might be watching in the background right now. And if people do have an answer for Brad's comment, feel free to respond. So Brad says, if Ty Corbin reads this, would you kindly help us understand more about what you recall when and where you saw Don acting strange near the train tracks? I find it very interesting, as do a lot of Dylan's supporters. Thanks, and thanks, Warlike Ref. So I originally heard it from Tom Evans. Tom was talking about it from what Ty Corbin came across in the past, right? We'll get into it in a separate video, okay? If there are add-ons in between now and then it can be included in that video, okay? Best not rush it too quick, but I don't think it wasn't so much about Don acting strange. Don was supposedly searching about for Dylan. It was my thoughts and ideas which suggested something a little bit strange. Okay, Brad? I said I'll get more into it another time. I'll explain it more and maybe use the maps as well if that helps. Okay? It will make more sense eventually. Did Ty respond? No. Christy, Ty Corbyn is offended because an Englishman is investigating better than him. I think that comment might trigger something, but Brad says, wow, such a helpful comment. I mean, you could say it's helpful, Brad, in a sense that it might set the tone as to why Ty Corbyn won't reply to your comment, Brad, at this moment in time, because he doesn't want to step on my channel in the first place because of crossed wires and misunderstandings, which led to him having a bit of a wobbler, okay? So Christy kind of makes sense in a way with her comment, right? Might not be what you wanted to hear, but it explains why you might not get a response from the person you're asking questions to. But if you really do want a response, Brad, I think an effective way to do it is either copy and paste that comment or type it out again in a different way on Ty Corbyn's channel on one of his latest videos. And I'm sure he'll respond back to you because I don't believe he's got an issue with you, so it should be fine. Take that into consideration, Brad. Cleo, video went by fast. Well, it was nearly an hour long. You know, you can't do every single video for over 2 hours long, even though I might have done for quite some time. You know, you got to change it up. And as well, it just depends what one is talking about, right? If I was placed here to talk about Weezer's tomato, well, I might only be able to spend like 5 minutes talking about it. If Betty Hayward brought in a bunch of pineapples, maybe longer because there's more than one object. Then if Miss T came on in and said, can you analyse the gravitational pull and surface area? Well, that would take decades, okay? Just depends with the material you're covering, what you're looking at, okay? Cleo went to the toilet, came back, you were gone. I thought you did return back before then. Oh well. Indiana. So I don't know if Betty Hayward is here, but some kind of comment. Betty Hayward, squeaky sneakers. She's a killer in sneakers. Her stealing through the streets at night. Squeak, squeak is all you ever hear from squeaky little sheets. Don't ever contemplate the rain. The squeaks will only get worse. Stuck like glue to her feet. Looks some god awful forsaken curse. I would like to get into her hallway and steal them away at night as Repo Guy wanted them, but honest, the smell was up a height. Bonfire night is coming soon, and I'm drawing up a master plan, so in the middle of that bonfire, those squeaky sneakers will land. I know your street will more than thank me for that, I can be sure, so their ever so squeaky sneakers will never be heard no more. Ooh, sounds like a bit of a witch's potion, that. Watch out, Betty Hayward. Your headband might turn into a frying pan. Watch out, you never know, I think Gorilla Jack did a bit of a rap recently. Jack with a rap, turning to the block, lost his sock, ended up with a Glock. There we go. Don't be too cocky. It's fine, it's under control. If it's not, then where do we go? Recently gone kind of slow with the flow, hitting it low, but there we go. I'm getting it in time because I can rhyme. At the end of the day, I may not be a rapper. I'm just a whippersnapper. Boy, there you go, Warlike Ref, the rapper. Simple as. Very easy. All under control. Shall we move on? Few replies. Cleo, love this. Thank you, Indiana. Happy to oblige you. Indian's poem. Oh, we got an Indian poem. What does that go? Probably got the wrong one there. Anyway, we got Tom. Black Dove was the most down-to-earth person in this investigation. Is it possible he found out what happened and he bowed out to let Box Elder handle it? I mean, isn't Black Dove from a different state? He's not within the area. So would he come across something so important that he left it to the police to handle? I don't think so. I still believe it probably refers back to the drama conflict, and Black Dove had enough of that stuff, wanted to get away from it. felt that the case wasn't really going anywhere at the time. So what good was happening besides conflict drama? Nothing. So he just thought, fine, I'll walk away. You never know, Tom, that Black Dove could still be watching or every now and then catching up on new information or official news coverage, but he just may not make his presence known. Like right now, as I speak, Black Dove, you may be in the darkness, you may be lurking in the shadows. If you are, I understand. You don't need to leave a comment, but if you're watching, take mental notes, think about it within, and see what comes out. Has your conclusion changed about the case? And maybe other people out there too, okay? You keep away from the case for some time, you get back, and sometimes it feels like, whoa, I've got a bit of catching up to do. That's what some people have said, right? So, who knows? People can still be watching, just not commenting, right? Was Black Dove the most down-to-earth person? I personally don't know because I don't know everyone and I don't know too much about Black Dove because I wasn't really present around him much. But I guess when it came to questions, he was helpful in answering them. Didn't cause me any trouble, at least from my experience only. So I guess appreciate that. Okay, we move on. We got a guy called Timothy. Shout out to Timothy, new viewer popping on in. Yes, sure is and was. They did not help out very much. Is Timothy referring to Don Hately and Brenner, the early days of when Dylan Rounds went missing? They were supposedly looking, but they weren't. Is that what Timothy's talking about or something else? Oh, Brad, once again, to Tom. The railhead is quite close to Lucent Pond. It's past a pond, so why would Don be searching there? Was he helping Brenner retrieve or hide something, knowing that Brenner couldn't do it whilst being watched? Time frame and location would help us more. So, do you know when you say railhead, what is a railhead? An overhead line or some kind of crossing where you can drive over the tracks? What is a railhead? If anyone can explain down below, feel free to do so. But if that really is the case and it just happens to be near the pond, and the pond has been a bit of an area of interest for some time, especially with the phone being found there as well, it does open possibilities up. As said, maybe we can focus more on it at a later point. We just got to see what the replies are. Tom, Brad, that's emotional, not optional. What? Brad, the Ty Corbin video is called The Farm North of the Grain Shed. Right. Apologies, Tom. What do you mean by emotional comment? Bit slow, snail. Dale the snail? Did I miss something in the video? Nothing about Don at the rail grades. Rail grades? What's a rail grade? Crossing? American language? I don't know, but feel free to fill in the blanks. If it requires the usage of maps, we can do that. Glenn, a lot going on, but I'm catching up. That's good to hear. Sometimes I know it can be a lot to take in, but just do what you can, Glenn. Timothy, what else does la stand for? Well, I know le means the, I believe, in French. La, depending on how it's spelled, can mean no in Moroccan, Darija, Arabic. But I don't know about anything else. We got Inspector Gadgets. I mean, his profile picture is pretty good, It symbolises his username and it's good colour tone as well, the purple and the yellow, yeah? Magnifying glass as well on the outer rim. I mean, if you look at my membership-only badges next to people's usernames, it's a skull with a magnifying glass near to it. I can't remember if it's on every skull, but it's on some of them and it kind of goes around the rim of the eye socket, okay? Spectre Gadget says, could they be looking for a way to incarcerate Kurt by issuing a warrant at this late juncture? So you referring to the idea that maybe Kurt Wadsworth already did something bad before Dylan Rounds went missing, but it was never really followed up. But now they need to catch up on stuff and as well maybe try and make a case that Kurt Wadsworth is involved in the Dylan Rounds murder disappearance case, possibly. Tie one with the other. If you don't have too much on the person, but you still want to take them in for questioning, then you get them on another charge. But then again, if that was the case and then you apprehended them, you had to interrogate them, follow through with their formal procedures about the unrelated charge, could you then cross on over and then ask them about this current ongoing case. Would that work? I don't know. I mean, let's just look back, right? Look at Brenner. Way back in the beginning, Brenner wasn't officially charged. Fast forward a year on, or just under a year on, or whatever, 3rd of March 2023, that's when Brenner was officially charged with the murder of Dylan and desecration. When Brenner was taken in by the police properly, but it was on unrelated charges at the time, that was around June 18th, June 19th, 2022. And it was to do with the ongoing pending 2021 aggravated assault, which the police followed up on, as well as the firearm charges, being a felon in possession of firearms. I think there was 1 to 3 counts of that or so, or 1 to 3 firearms. I don't know if it's classified as separate charges for each one or not, but there was a bit going on with Brenner. That's why he was taken in, brought in by the police, but it wasn't to do with Dylan at the time, though he was held in and wasn't released after that point. And then eventually with time, and I guess with the collection of evidence, DNA, whatever, such as the 27 second clip, which was found by police in November 2022, months on from when Brenner was originally taken in by the police. Things built from there, questioning not so much because they never really questioned Brenner past that point. Candice Cully said they did it in June and then that was about it. Never again. But eventually Brenner got charged officially, right? So I can understand it from Inspector Gadget's how, Kurt Wadsworth could be in trouble for something completely different, taken in, and then down the line might get charged with Dylan's case if there is an actual valid reason to do so, okay? The main part is just getting a hold of these people to begin with, so then you can track and monitor them, question them, interrogate them, and do whatever that needs to be done and not have to worry that these people could be on the run or elsewhere. And in this case with Kurt Wadsworth, he supposedly is on the run. They've not found him. That's not practical, right? If he is a bit of a danger or a threat to some people, or in the eyes of others, and he's walking free, could any more trouble arise? Could he cause any more damage? I don't know. Just let me know your thoughts in the comment section, okay? We got Mona. When I saw that, I thought it was Mona Lisa, but it's Mona von Sandas. Love this guy, and my English is getting better and better because I do understand him. Well, that's good to know, Mona. Shout out to you. Your English is arguably clearer, more understandable, and even your, wording, how you've, structured it is more clear than some people that can speak proper English can. So that's all good. Response. Timothy saying there is la use raw detaches, blah. Okay, so material. Right, I don't know what that means. Uncertainty. Where am I? I'm here. There we go. Here's a quick point up. Because Clea has been a member for some time now, which is good of her. Her badge has updated. Now look at the badge. We're going to the higher end schools, the orange coloured one, still with the magnifying glass. Looks more serious, looks more clean and sharp. So there you go. That's what you can expect to see if you stick around long enough as a member. As for the, I don't know what it's called. Is it a 12-month badge or is it a much longer one? It's like if you're a member on the channel for long enough, you get the top tier badge, and the top tier badge is arguably pretty good. Now, do you know what the funny thing is? I created the members channel thing and I created the badges. Yet I don't have a badge next to my name unless I pay for my own membership. What a joker. What a joker. You expect me? Right. I bet YouTube would probably be expecting me to give a $500 super chat to myself. Right on, mate. That's really going to work, isn't it, YouTube? I know exactly what you're trying to do there. Reflect it back onto me. Thinking I'm going to get it all, but you're going to get a 30% cut. Ha! Crikey, mate. What a joker. What a joker, YouTube. You ain't doing that. I've got a PayPal link down below, mate. All under control. Put the money on the barbecue, but please don't turn it on. We don't want the notes burning anytime soon, man. God damn, what am I going to do? Some voice, man. Betty Hayward, where you at, Betty? Hey, girl. Yeah, it pretty much sums that up. Oh, I forgot. As I said, I got the link on the screen now. I wasn't looking at the screen at the time. Right. So that's it for the comments. What we're going to move on to now is the comments by Cori. I don't know if to do like a little introduction with my face or just move straight onto the comments. I think we'll just go straight onto the comments because then I can give the backstory at the same time. So everybody watching right now, welcome. Hopefully you're ready. Anyone that joined in right now, late, feel free to rewind back, catch up there if you want. But for now, we're going to move forwards and talk about the main part of this video. Here we are with the first screenshot from 2 days ago during the live video premiere of mine in the live chat. Screenshotted it now just to share with you once again, because maybe not everyone saw the comments back then. We need to bring it into the light of this video. Take in mind, people are more likely to see comments of interest in the comment section itself after the video rather than the live chat, because not everyone looks back at the live chat replay, right? Live chat replay can still be good because it documents it, but not everyone thinks of checking it, besides obviously looking at the comments down below. So if the right people show up at the right time, they can add on with this, elaborate if they feel the need. Tom Evans feels like there needs to be more explanation, but feels as if he's in a position where he's not allowed to hear about it, which, is a bit of a interesting situation. But we'll just read the comments by Cori, the additional ones, and see what she's got to say, okay? Feel free to share your reactions in the chat as we do go along. First of all, Cori makes her appearance saying, I'm so tired of all this disinformation all the time. Can anyone ask me what's the difference between disinformation and misinformation? Misinformation, where you spread, talk about, cover, highlight information which is incorrect, could be considered fake news, inaccuracies made to a certain depth degree. Now, you can have intentional misinformation and then accidental misinformation, right? As long as it's cleared up down the line, that's what should matter. I'd say and argue that there have been people throughout the case that have purposely, strategically talked about misinformation and covered it, such as a rumour of an event, rumour of a person, which then spread and been worded as an actual fact that it happened when it was still a rumour or theory. But the way other people worded it, it was done poorly, so it led to confusion and misinformation, okay? That's why it's very important that you use the correct wording and language when talking about this, because it's a serious topic, serious case. You don't want to mess up. People can still mess up, but if you at least try, you can reduce it a bit. Now, as for Cori, to add on, as said, with the backstory from last night, people were pointing out, and might have been No Limits, pointed out that Cori originated from Salty Pancake's channel. The person you see on screen right here in the middle between Tom and John, Cori originates from Salty Pancake's channel, supposedly. Okay? If that's the case, it could explain to why Cori just recently popped up on my channel. Because as said, with time, the Noah's Ark effect has taken place. When you got channels and communities out there which have imploded upon themselves during a downfall period, arguments within, inner conflict, tension, communication breaking down between people, those branch away, disband. Where do they go? To a different channel, of course. Same platform or elsewhere. It can be elsewhere. With Pancakes being on Rumble still, supposedly speaking, and if Cori came from there, maybe more of an original, who knows if they followed Pancakes from day one, but most likely coming over from Rumble with the recent trouble in the jungle over there, and them just sharing their thoughts here. Now, up to now, Cori hasn't caused me any problems, so that's good of her, right? Obviously, we'll see what happens next, because you never know. You never know, and that can apply to other people as well. Let's not just focus on one individual. Though there was some add-ons from people last night saying that, yes, with Cori being from Pancake's channel, they're very deep and interested in conspiracies and that type of stuff. We've seen Salty Pancakes has talked about conspiracy theories, acted in erratic, uncontrollable ways at times with his thought process, not making sense at times, not always providing proof, evidence, coming up with all kinds of conspiracies and ideas, very all over the place, right? And if Cori is into that type of stuff, could that highlight the potential risk that whatever Cori says about this case could be fake news as well? Who knows? I don't know much about Cori. So myself, I'm not in a position to come to a conclusion at this moment in time. I'm just here to share with you this supposed information which has happened in the case at some point or another, to try and make sense of it and to see if we can uncover any new leads, new directions, may open up new discussions, right? And if not, if it clears and debunks things, that's just as important. That's progress made as well, okay? What I would say though, people out there under the impression from their point of view that Cori originates from Pancake's channel, deep with conspiracies, BS and misinformation, then for Cori to come on here and say, I'm so tired of all this misinformation or disinformation all the time, as she says here, all the time, meaning there's never any truth, from the way she's wording it, but it's just always misinformation from all places and all known sources and everyone. Seems a little bit dramatic, that, but in the eyes of other viewers, other people, when they see this comment, they would say, well, that's rich, Cori, bit hypocritical coming from you, considering where you originate from and who you associate yourself with, who do the same exact thing as what you say here, which you're tired of. As I said, in my position myself, I'm not in a position, okay, to like latch onto this or that, but I know there's other people out there that would. Just want to highlight it, provide those different perspectives, just to make sure everybody is on the same track right now, so no one gets the pants in a twist or misunderstands what I say, okay? Hopefully Cori understands. Of course, if she's present right now, she can add on her own comments if she feels the need, okay? As well, other people were saying that Cori is the wife of John Sheldon. John Sheldon being an individual within the area, friends with Dylan, upset by what's happened to Dylan, etc., etc. And obviously, you need to listen, to people either from the area to an extent, and those who may be close to Dylan Rounds in some way or been in the presence, because they may know stuff other people don't, right? No harm. There have been people over time, though, which, with what they've come out with, you could follow up to a point, but then they've undone themselves with their behaviour. If you think about Catherine S., there's been a lot of Catherines, Caffies, and Kit Kat Calf. There's a lot of calves, a lot of K. I said multiple Ks there because if I did the number tree, I'd probably get called out for other reasons, as you know, all under control. But yeah, Catherine S. had a bit of an issue with me, not seen from them ever again. They said they got triggered by one of my videos, and that's the only reason why they came on to leave their comments, share their thoughts, their peace of mind with me, because it was recommended in their video feed. For a video to be recommended in your video feed, then maybe Catherine S. might have been watching my videos previously, so you can't blame that. But then on top of that, at a later point, she ended up coming back again, leaving another comment, being negative, complaining, whinging and whining, and it's like, well, I thought you already said what you said, and that was it. But no, came on back, just like other people. As said, and I'll just reiterate it once again, the reality is, when you have someone like Catherine S., is similar to Salty Pancakes. When you got Ty Corbin, at times, he's like Salty Pancakes. When you've got Mr. X or Mr. Impetuous, similar like Salty Pancakes, in the terms of they say they're going to do something or do the opposite, and then they don't follow through with it. And I was like, all for nothing. Why? going back on one's own words. Just one of those things. People got triggered by it recently. I think Joy Perry did. And it's like, why are you getting triggered when I'm making a simple, overt, non-participant observation? Get a grip. No, you don't have a grip. Then do you even have a pair of hands? No? Well, I'm sorry to her. Anyway, first comment by Cori. So tired of all this disinformation all the time. So what are you referring to, Cori, specifically? Overall? I mean, everything is misinformation, even my channel, even my coverage. You know, Cori, if you just popped on in, new viewer, how are you going to know what we cover unless you have been lurking in the background with time? And of course, it depends where you originate from as well. Where you originated from, was the misinformation there too? And that's why you've moved away, because you got sick and tired of it. But by you saying you've got sick and tired with it in this video comment section, is it because of the video itself that triggered you to come out with that response? You know, feel free to elaborate, because it's kind of sparse at this moment in time. As I said, when it comes to covering this case, talking about information, clearing it up or reinforcing, it's actually under control here, Cori, because we do things a little bit different compared to other channels. Not like a live stream, live call-in, zoo type, you know, huddle full of animals. Not quite. Anyway, let's move on. Cori's first proper comment saying that Chase Venstra is most likely the person who killed Dylan for a reason that has to do with Kurt Wadsworth threatening to kill him on the 27th of May, in my honest opinion. Right, so the way Cori words this is a level of certainty. To an extent, she's confident in what she believes. So the way she's worded it and structured the language, it's as if it's a fact that that event took place and that person is responsible for this crime based off what previously happened beforehand. But then at the end of that sentence, she says, in my honest opinion. Now, an opinion is, you know, different to a fact. But how she's worded and structured her sentences as if it is a fact, but then at the end saying, just my opinion. So it's kind of going against. It's a little bit muddled, depending how you look at it, right? Chase Venstra, yeah, we've heard of him multiple times, more so than other names in the case, I would say. Was there anything else to highlight with Chase Venstra? Well, Candice Cooley from the very early on in the case was adamant that Chase Venstra was innocent 100%, right? When they, whether it be they themselves asking for it or the police taking it into their own hands, I think it might have been the FBI, actually, where they wanted timestamps of Chase Venstra. Where was he at? What was he doing? And at 7:01 a.m., 28th of May 2022, the day Dylan Rounds was killed, at 7:01 a.m., Chase Venstra was at the Flying J's in Snowville, Utah. As for the distance from Snowville to Lucin, Utah, I can't remember the distance. The timing it would take to get from one place to another. Well, if it's 7:01 and the timestamp video footage on Dylan's phone inside Brenner's trailer is at 7:27 within like a 30-minute period. So you'd have to compare, contrast from the 30 minutes it took to take Dylan out whilst Chase Venstra was at the Snowville Flying J's. Would he have been able to get back in time? If there is actual proof, which the FBI found and got the CCTV footage from how it's been worded previously of Chase Venstra being in that area at that place, that time, and then later on in the day in Clinton at a KFC or nearby, and then later Ogden 23:45 or something p.m. or was it 22:45? It was later on into the evening at Little Caesars Pizza in Ogden, right? How would they know? Well, just simply getting the CCTV footage of that named individual at that place, that point, that time. And it would make sense because where Chase Venstra may have been, there was CCTV footage, more of a developed area, more electronics, surveillance, nearer to a city. Loose in Utah, not in a city, it's a ghost town, so you're not going to have all the cameras and high-tech stuff. Even Montello, Nevada, which is a bit more developed or a bit bigger in population, they don't have that many cameras either. So you're limited to what you can look into and research, right? But because where Chase Venstra was at the time, it was ideal to get hold of intel and material because of the surveillance in that area, right? As said, I think on the spot, maybe I've already worded it, but it could be told visually as well. Boom, there we go. If I need to slap my face, I will do afterwards, so I don't forget. But we've just unlocked another video idea. I'll be covering it soon. Looking back, Chase Venstra on the day with the timestamps, what we have and what we've known of. I will be doing that. There we go. New video. Look out for it. Wow, that's what I mean. This is what we need. It's what can help, right? When people see comments and they don't seem too helpful or confusing, it opens up new discussions and questions, which then opens up new videos, angles, perspectives, which then could eventually link all the way back to this one comment in the end, right? As said, if you have forgotten, it's like the procedure of a doctor, surgeon. What you do is you kind of like split it apart with a scalpel, look at it bit by bit, and then down the line, maybe stitch it back all together to create a full picture. Fill in the jigsaw puzzles, right? That's the way I see it, at least. But let's really focus back on this comment on screen. Apologies, okay? Cori saying, Chase Venstra is most likely the person who killed Dylan, despite the evidence of Brenner cleaning a gun in his trailer. For a reason that has to do with Kurt Wadsworth threatening to kill him on the 27th of May. Right. I think one way of interpreting this comment is the supposed event of 27th of May, Kurt Wadsworth threatening to kill Chase Venstra, from the looks of this, and then possibilities of Chase Venstra taking out Dylan for that reason. So maybe if you break it down, supposedly Kurt Wadsworth threatening to kill Chase Venstra supposedly happened on the 27th. In the eyes of Cori, that's a fact. Then the motive of Chase Venstra possibly taking out Dylan because of that fact, that event, is her opinion. Okay, so basically she kind of kicked it off, the comment, with an opinion and then tied it back with a supposed factual event which took place. Okay, now, as said, I sense that there are going to be people in the background clawing and scratching their head right now thinking this is a load of BS. If you want to leave a comment down below and set the record straight, you're welcome to. You don't have to in the live chat, but leave a comment down below if you wish, if it's helpful. Or if you want to add on with your own points, you can do that too. I'm just reading what is here on screen, right? We need to put it into the light and, concentrate on it and see what people think. Because what else can you do? So, my question would be, why did Kurt Wadsworth supposedly threatened to kill him? When you say threatened to kill him, kill who? Kill Chase Venstra or kill Dylan Rounds? Well, it wouldn't make sense if it was Kurt Wadsworth threatening to kill Dylan Rounds, because first of all, Kurt is supposedly friends with Dylan at the time, and secondly, if Kurt was to kill Dylan, then why did Chase Venstra do it instead and take the rap? I don't understand. If it was something along the lines of Kurt Wadsworth threatening to kill Chase Venstra, unless spared if Chase Venstra does something which Kurt Wadsworth want, maybe. So, Cori, are you suggesting that the event of Kurt Wadsworth threatening Chase Venstra was something to do with Kurt wanting Dylan Rounds removed from this earth in the first place. And Kurt Wadsworth didn't want to be the one to do it himself, though he wanted Chase Venstra to do it instead. And the only way to get Chase Venstra to do it is by Kurt himself threatening Chase, by taking him out if you don't take that person out. Is that what we're referring to here? A bit like a Mexican standoff in a sense? What's your thoughts in the chat? You think this is all BS? You think some of it is true? Let me know your thoughts. You know, Kurt Wadsworth and Chase Venstra, well, at the time, supposedly Kurt Wadsworth didn't like Chase Venstra, just like Aviles. Particular reason, I'm not quite sure. It could be because of trouble over time, maybe stealing things and impacting some people Kurt Wadsworth likes, maybe. I think it was Chase Venstra, yeah. Chase Venstra that was at one point in a relationship with one of Brenner's ex-girlfriends or something, and then that triggered a reaction from Brenner in a way. And I guess if Kurt Wadsworth being friends with Brenner, on Brenner's side, Kurt would stand up and do something back. You see the possible loyalties is where they stand. And obviously in the early days with the hostage situation in Montello, that false call, that decoy possibly, that Kurt was pinning the blame on the likes of Chase Venstra and Aviles. Shows that possible dislike for them, so that's why they put the blame on them, in hopes of maybe getting them away, arrested, away from the place, revenge, you know, whatever. So, if Kurt Wadsworth already had disagreements with Chase Venstra in the past, right? Yeah. Candice Cooley said Chase Venstra didn't hang around in one particular area. He'd move back and forth between Ogden and somewhere in Nevada or so, supposedly. Anything else to add on? Well, it's 25th of May when Chase Venstra was within Montello, Nevada, the outer skirts area near Tacoma Road, after all what followed on the day, and Dylan Rounds picked him up and then supposedly took him back to Montello. Did something happen then and there? And if on the 27th of May, Kurt Wadsworth threatened to kill Chase Venstra, if that's how Cori is wording it here, what about Dylan Rounds? Because I thought Dylan Rounds was present in Montello at some point during the day. Wouldn't Dylan Rounds have seen Kurt or seen Chase or heard a conversation going on, so then know about it and then be prepared later? You get what I'm saying? If it really was the case that Chase Venstra was the one to kill Dylan Rounds, then why is Brenner where he is right now? Why has Brenner kept his mouth quiet? Why did Brenner not say or do anything to clear his name, to make sure he's innocent so he doesn't get taken back in? Because I'm sure Brenner doesn't want to be locked up, in a sense. You get what I'm saying? Why would Brenner just let it slide? But I guess one thing to acknowledge in a way, whilst Brenner in the past being locked up in Weber County Jail at the time, making phone calls outwards, and also to the likes of Justin Rounds, Brenner shifting the blame towards Chase Venstra, advising Justin Rounds to look in that direction. At the time, Brenner said to Justin Rounds on the phone, saying how you got to check the back road or measure the distance from like the time it takes to get from here to there and so on, and also look about the property for buried stuff. That's kind of like how it was broken up by Justin Rounds in the Heavy D second interview inside of the grain shed, if you remember back in 2022, late 2022. Yeah, interesting, right? So, but then again, Brenner didn't show much resistance at the time of being arrested or being taken in. But then again, if it was on unrelated charges, he hadn't really got a leg to stand on, in a sense. With Chase Venstra going through his own troubles of firearm charges unrelated to the Dylan Rounds case, yet During one of the court hearings some months ago, Chase Venstra stated that he was confronted by Brenner and another unknown guy that beat him up and stole his firearms. You know, when exactly did that happen? Before or after the Dylan Rounds case? I think supposedly some people were saying it was after Dylan Rounds went missing. So Brenner's name's getting dragged through another case out there with Chase Venstra. I think one thing we can come to an agreement on is, even if people are a bit confused as to who ultimately did it and if anyone else played a hand role in the case, is that all these names keep coming up, don't they? They keep being referred to, talked about, events involving them, they themselves involving one another, they themselves dragging each other through the mud, putting the blame on back forth, almost as bad as each other in a way, right? Then again, you know, if they're within a smallish area, smallish community, they're going to know one another fairly well, and it probably will lead to tension, conflict at times, right? When there's no one else to take it out on. I want to know your thoughts, though. What you think by this comment in general. Do you believe in it? Is it the truth or not? And we'll do some loose polls in between, okay? For a reason that has to do with Kurt threatening to kill him. 27th of May. 27th. Very close, isn't it? Day before Dylan Rounds was taken out. But then again, that was the case, then why was Chase Venstra in Snowville flying J's then at 7:01 when it was 7:03 when Dylan Rounds' phone ping was at the Grange Shed, hence possibly parking his truck in there at the time? Chase Venstra wouldn't have been able to get down from there to there that quick. Not at all, not possible. I think that bit rules this comment out, but I said we'll do it in a separate video itself, okay, visually speaking. So I do feel that probably that'll be the next video coming out shortly. So make sure to watch it. Modest Man, thanks for still putting out Dylan's name and doing all these videos. It's nice to see people still care. This case really hit home for me. Just put myself super close into it. Fair enough, understandable. And you're welcome. Shout out to Modest Man for popping on in, new viewer in recent time, sharing his thoughts and his experiences. That's helpful. And what else do we have here? Tom Evans responding, what do you know about the case that we don't know? Fair point. Apologies. Cori responds back, more than you understand. Now, you know, some people, you read that out, I think Tom Evans said it sounded a bit condescending, sounds a bit cocky, sounds like, excuse me, you know, you putting yourself on top of the mountain above everybody else with knowledge and wealth, power, whatever. You know, if that is, at the end of the day, what I'd say is if Cori is in a situation where she's sick and tired of misinformation, Cori is tired of people being confused about the story, the narrative. If Cori knows more than anybody else, then why not set the record straight, elaborate, and publicly talk about it if you're in a position to do so, and then maybe people won't be misinformed anymore. Has that happened yet? Well, to an extent, maybe not of great length, but better than nothing, right? If Cori has been elsewhere for some time, then obviously we wouldn't have heard from her. If she's just popped in now, it's only been a short space of time where she's had the opportunity to say what she's got to say. Maybe with time she could elaborate. I guess time will tell, right? Anything else? Indiana. Find Lucin Pond on Google and turn right. That was something to do. That might have been to do with Brad when he was looking for the rail grade, the train tracks. Do you see how it all links on with one another when we do these videos? All these conversation going on where you could argue and say, oh, it's really confusing, right? Taking it all in, all the words and events. But at the end of the day, the themes, the topics, what we're referring to, do kind of link and are similar, right? Are you talking about the pond or are you talking about the tracks? Well, the pond is near to the tracks, the track is near to the pond, and so is the wash. You know, parts of it, right? With it being linkable and close in proximity, kind of easier to refer back to. Not as confusing, at least in my opinion, okay? Now, do we have anything else from Cori? Yes, we do. John, finding Dylan is like trying to find the Loch Ness Monster. Maybe. Thrift Queen, hey, I made it. Yeah, and that was right at the end of the video. Thrift Queen, a bit late to the auction house. Unfortunate. But Cori's comment once again in the middle, saying the pickup, Dylan's Ford pickup and grain truck were never fingerprinted or taken in by the LE. And in fact, both would have little, if any, DNA but Dylan's. Right. Okay. How do we interpret this one? Once again, Cori appears very confident in what she says and how she states it as if it's a fact. The fact that Dylan's pickup and grain truck were never fingerprinted. And if they were, only Dylan's DNA would be found upon them. In a way, I can understand and agree to an extent with Cori about Dylan's personal pickup truck, because that was never really taken in. Like Candice Cooley, Justin Rounds were given the thumbs up to take care of it themselves, or a friend of the family, and that's led to the mileage being lost, 100 miles. Missed opportunity could have led to an answer there as for the location of Dylan Rounds. But the grain truck, well, from what I've heard previously, from what Justin Rounds, Candice Cooley said it as well, but even Justin Rounds, saying how the truck was searched by the police and them. They looked inside to see if they could find anything, more so like where the seed is stored, and Dylan was not there. There was no traces of Dylan, right? As for the inside of the grain truck, Candice Cooley said that the DNA that was found within, which you would assume must have been by the police, and for them to follow through with that procedure to get hold of that DNA in the first place, to process it, and then inform the family. The DNA found within the grain truck was of Dylan, as you would expect, of course, because on the day using it, but also Don Hatley and Brenner. And that does seem a bit suspicious when they were persons of interest at the time. But the reason why it wasn't really followed up after that was simply because, they couldn't date when exactly it appeared. So it could have happened in the past. And obviously with them working for Dylan in the past, it's kind of ties in with one another and it's not that abnormal, right? So they couldn't really follow it up there. But Cori is saying that both vehicles were never taken in by the LE. And the way Candice Cooley worded it in the past was the grain truck at least was taken in by the LE. So we're getting differing stories here, right? Let me know your thoughts down below. That Cori says, and if they were both tested, they would have little, if any, DNA but Dylan's. When you say little, if any, are you saying that there's a chance that there wouldn't have been any DNA found within the vehicle, possibly because it was wiped clean by somebody else? Or are you just simply saying that the DNA would be limited because only one person was behind the wheel, which was Dylan Rounds at the time? Well, if Cori suggests that or states it as she did, then that would imply that the vehicle was never used in disposing of Dylan Rounds. So, Cori, feel free to elaborate and let us know your thoughts as to where you think Dylan is buried and how he was buried and how he was transported, right? No vehicle was used of Dylan's. Was another vehicle used instead? If in fact any. And if not, then what was used? Let me know your thoughts, Cori, if you're still present. Would help to provide a better understanding. But yeah, it looks like we've reached the end of these comments. I'll be honest, one thing to acknowledge, Cori's comments, end of the day, right? The way it's been worded sounds level of confidence, right? People may still think it's BS, but the one thing to acknowledge with Cori is the supposed information she has shared. It's like an opinion, possible theory, motive as to a named individual who's responsible besides Brenner, but as well a backstory of an event which occurred with another individual named person, as well as a date provided. That's all very helpful and useful, that type of comment, whether it's 100% true or BS, because it enables me to be able to map it out on Google Earth, put the points down and analyse from there. Then I can stitch it back together with other past events we've heard of and timestamps and markers, put it all together, do a distance check and go from there. So it's all under control. Be prepared for a more hands-on video next time, a more visual one, a map analysis. Make sure to be ready for it. Okay, do you see how suddenly things can ignite in new ideas or looking back at past stuff to make sense of it? You think it's gone completely quiet and then boom, there we go. We've got new directions, and that's what's going to happen. It can be followed with some form of action too. For this moment in time, you can, catch up and share your thoughts as to what's been talked about today, at least whether you agree or not. If you want to break it down, you want to debunk, or you want to add on with additional points, that's welcome. If you've got grievances, list that down below in the comment section as well. But I think we'll leave it there for now. Maybe a shorter video, but for good reason, because it was more specific on a particular piece of material, that of Cori and her knowledge. Will this video lead to resistance? You never know. If it's misunderstood, taken the wrong way. It could also lead to resistance, people throwing their toys out the pram because they're not getting that information, or they're not being able to cover it because of a certain situation. Well, tough shit, okay? Keep on covering the case for as long as one can and provide some form of valid points. Maybe question marks are used in the title, just so people don't get misled there. So there's a level of balance as well. Okay, we don't want to go all in, because if you do, it can backfire. And I've known about that for some time. That's why it's not happened. Okay, so hopefully you learned something new today and understood what was being talked about. Leave comments down below. Make sure to like, share the video to at least enable more awareness on the case of Dylan Round, and to allow other people to know about what's currently going on with this information, possible new leads, new possibilities. Okay, so that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Goodbye and good night.